that we have, CSI Mobile. This product is field data collection for accident reconstruction and crime scene investigation. It has a particular focus on car accidents where this form of work is done by all large municipality police departments, as well as many smaller county sheriff departments and smaller cities around the country. I would like to point out that this is actually a good market to be in, perhaps in these economic times, in that it is all about surveying, mapping, and making reports on car accidents, which continue at the same pace basically in any economic climate. Furthermore, it's a government-based market, and there is substantial funding going into police departments around the country, some of which could be used for the accident reconstruction divisions. Another point I'd make to some of the dealers who may be listening in is that when you move a product like CSI Mobile, it tends to involve moving a total station. In fact, I can state this. This is a new product, and every single sale we've done so far has involved a total station sale with it. And so far, the manufacturers we've worked with, the brands of total stations that have been sold with CSI Mobile have been either Sakia or Leica, just as an aside. Now, let's talk about CSI Mobile and its applications. I'm starting here in the upper right of the screen with a real-world example. In this case, this was measured out by the Cincinnati Police Department, who has CSI Mobile. And this is an actual street scene involving two cars. And in this case, what they surveyed was the main road where the accident occurred, including the center line, edge of pavement, even the individual stripes on the road as reference. And they surveyed both cars and an undamaged car. Both cars involved in the accident were severely damaged. As you can see, this first car basically wrapped around a tree, and they surveyed the perimeter of the car and the tire tracks, the skid marks, prior to the accident. Another car further down was also badly damaged, wrapping around a tree or pole, and you can see the approach taken in this case was to survey every single point in the perimeter of the car. That's one technique. And then for reference, here is a car surveyed in an undamaged form. So we're going to talk about some of the features here in CSI Mobile that accomplish this. Before I go too far, I want to point out the actual structure of the program. If I exit back to the main menu, I want to distinguish the difference between CSI Mobile and our flagship data collection product, CervCE. CSI Mobile has no tab buttons up top that lead you to different menus. CervCE has 5 tabs along the top, 10 menu items typically per tab, exposing you to 50 menu options from the get-go. For greater simplicity, CSI Mobile has no tabs up here, no menu options. You just live in one menu screen. So in effect, it only has 2 worlds. The text menu screen here, and if you go to the map screen, you have the world of the graphics and the pull-down menus, which are somewhat similar to serve-CE. That's one source of simplicity. Another source is the actual getting started process, which I'm going to do on a new example here. But while I'm involved with this file, I want to point out that I'm configured to a Sakia total station running live. One difference in serve-CE and CSI Mobile is that you don't see the total station configuration button on the main screen. What we've done is you go into the configure option, and then within that we've made this total station icon be your total station configuration option. So when you click that, you can see that I've selected the Sakia SRX series. And just for some exposure to those who want to see how some total stations are configured, you pretty much work your way left to right across these tab buttons. Right now, even though I'm running on a PC, I'm actually Bluetooth connected to the RC unit of the Sakia SRX total station. That's the actual unit that holds the prism, and I'm connected to it by Bluetooth. You can go over to settings and you can set it to rapid or fine mode, some options there. You can go over to your instrument tab. This is very important. If you're going to run the RC unit, which has the fast search capability running robotically, you want to turn on RC unit, run remotely. And then finally there's a search tab. And this is where you have to catch the RC unit here as well. You could turn on the RC unit under the instrument tab, but not turn on the search under the search tab for the RC, using the RC unit. You could have just gone standard, then you're really not tapping into the RC unit. The RC search is a very dynamic intelligence search, similar to the Leica power search capability. Standard search, let's contrast it to a standard search. A standard search is where you set up a search window in degrees, and it would kind of search through that box, and if you're not within that box, it won't find the prism. Now I'm going to hit OK and exit out of here. So that's how we were configured. And now let's see if we can just take a shot. If I go to the Store Points option, and let's say I'm on point 178 backsiding 1, I'll just hit OK. And now I'm starting to track on the drawing. And there I am tracking there. And if I press Enter, I can take a measurement. It's taking a reading. You could call this, for example, perhaps a pine tree. And hit OK. And I'll use a new point. And I can't exceed my actual points in the screen. I better just overwrite with a shot at 30, say, running the demo version. Just 30-point limit. And let me overwrite with point 30. I'll just change that 1 point. Overwrite. And there you see the tree actually plots out. Could you actually just move the prism, which contains the RC unit? Now watch it track, go slow here. We're in a small space, just in a room. But you can see that it will follow you, because I'll point out at the top of the screen, we're both locked and tracking at the same time. Now, one of the nice features of how we're handling locked and tracking mode is that you could lose the prism or not be locked, and when you take your backsight, your initial backsight on the job, it will search, find, lock, and track all in one process automatically. Same with your foresights. So if you're running robotically and you're a accident reconstruction operation, you're under a lot of pressure in the field, you simply take the back sight and the locking process occurs and the tracking process occurs. Let's take another shot here. I guess I'll have to overwrite this as 29. Well, that's fine. I think I can survive it here. And we'll hit OK. And I'll just call this one 0.29 and overwrite it. And there's right in the middle of the road, we've surveyed some pine trees out. But I wanted to point out that this works very well with robotic total stations. It works with regular total stations in Bluetooth mode, the mode we're in right now, very well. Also, one of the new additions to the product is the ability to plot symbols. That comes with CSI Mobile and is not currently in CERV-CE. It will be in CERV-CE 2.5. And let's illustrate how that is organized. You can shortcut using the shield. You can shortcut into your raw data. You can go actually into your codes. And this is your code list. And if we go down and find the some of the tree symbols, like the pine, and hit the edit, you can see that we've defined a pine as the code, and we've set it as a individual point accessing a symbol library. If we switch it over to a 2D polyline, then it's no longer a symbol, and it would plot as a polyline. And again, here's something new. You can set the width of the lines in inches, or even go custom at the very bottom and enter the inch amount to the right there. Now, this applies to things like stopping lines on roads at a stop sign. It applies to the stripes in the middle of the road. And it comes across, DXFs out to AutoCAD with that same level of detail and enhances the drawing portion within the CAD environment. Another thing that we've added is the ability to set categories up within Field to Finish. I have everything lumped into one category, but you could break out utilities from road features, from vegetation, etc., and get to them through categories and not have so many in your list. You can even set the colors of any symbol or line work that you do here in this dialog. So I'll just OK out and not actually change anything. OK out, and I'm back. Notice I did not actually leave the data collection field active screen. I just went sideways into the code list using the shield. This also lets you look at your points and review them. It also lets you view your raw data. And this is a very important one too. The reconnect is another option available in the shield that has been added. This applies to where you lose your Bluetooth if you're running through Bluetooth methods cable-free. You can quickly reconnect by clicking this button. Okay, now I'd like to illustrate a new job here. Oh, before I go any further, watch how if I zoom in on some of these items, you can see how the let's go and zoom previous. You can see how it actually has the width of the road. See, it's going to always zoom to where you're located. So the best way to overcome the auto zooming effect of active data collection is go into the globe here, and now you're in the graph mode. And then if you zoom in here, you can see that the center line and the stripes are given a thicker width versus the edge of pavement, and versus the skid lines here. Okay. Now, at this point, I want to start a new job and illustrate some of the simplicity of the package working from scratch. I also want to illustrate how we actually drew these cars out with a minimum of field shots. Okay, we're going to go back to the main screen. I'm actively collecting data again, but now I'm going to switch out to a manual total station mode. To do that, I'll exit the data collection screen. I was in store points. I'm going to drop into configure, and I'm going to go to the total station icon and switch over to manual total station. It's right on top. And switch out of it there. You actually could do it in a shortcut mode right off the main screen by just going to manual total station versus a real configured total station. Currently, CSI Mobile is designed only for total stations. Its price is $11.50 and it's $24.95 with the Carlson Surveyor data collector. It's extremely affordable and very affordable in conjunction with the data collector at a price of $24.95. Okay, let's start a new job and experience the simplicity of the package running manual total station. I'll come in here and create a new job. This is a slightly different look to starting a job than what you see in CervCE. And we'll call this job CSI test. You're kind of walked through the package with simple screens. Right now you enter your job name. If you hit show files, you'd see all your jobs. But that gets a little busy. It might put you off a little bit if you're in the field under pressure. So you just enter the new name and either hit enter or the green arrow, which do the same thing going forward. Now this would be your job attributes. And I have two specified. Party chief, you can put initials in, and weather conditions, and whatever job attributes you want to enter. And that's set up in job settings, just like CervCE. Then you verify your system and hit OK. And the last verification is your codes. Again, we keep a simple screen, but you can show your field codes in case you don't have the right field code list. Most companies have only one such list. Hide the codes. If you worked over and over again in the same urban environment for which you have either an aerial photo or a really nice background DXF drawing, you could have these set here, and that would be an overlay that is always behind and on the screen wherever you work. We have none set in this case. You hit enter to go forward. Now you're into the starting point, which is configured. Typically, you start at maybe 5,000, 5,100. Police departments don't normally align into state plane coordinates with known reference points unless they're established near the crime scene. And then you're set up and ready to go. You just simply measure your backside, and it tells you explicitly with that bold button to do it. You don't even have to put a backside point in. It'll automatically default to point 2 with CervCE. Up until now, you've had to put in a backside point number. Get your instrument heights and target heights correct. Your default backsighting north, I'm set to azimuth versus angle right, and away we go. So this would mimic an actual field shot, and I'll do a slope distance of maybe 50 feet, and that's in effect your backside and your rolling. Now your screen here looks a little different in that we have a car symbol, which I'll get to in a second. But the first thing we'll do is just simply take a shot and maybe do some a quick line work. So I can leave out the description at this point and simply take the measurement. And I'll do an azimuth of 280 and go a distance of 30 feet. And then here is your list of field codes, and I'll look for perhaps edge of pavement, EP. And I'll do start line. Now watch what it does when I hit start line. It does EP1 and also puts the ST or start code, whatever code you've specified for starting a line. But what's distinct to CSI Mobile is this configuration option, which I'm going to go to in a second, that automatically numbers each version of an edge of pavement that you decided to start. So I could start one on that side of the road, and let's go to the northeast and start another one, or more to the northwest. I'll take a shot, and I'll go perhaps 310, and I'll do a slope distance of 40, and I'll start another line. And see, it automatically switched to EP2 and start. And so I've got, two edge of pavements working at the same time, and that's all set up through configuration. I'll show you the option. Use unique IDs for line work. So every time you hit that start line button, if you haven't finished up the current code you're on, or whatever code you're on last, EP1, EP2, you start again, it's going to be EP3. And in that way, it keeps track of the different edge of pavements that are being worked. Now, at this point, we might want to notice that we're still on EP2. I'm going to end the EP2 line and just kind of guess an azimuth to do it. I'm going to go 280 and a distance of 70 and EP2 end. And so there I've drawn over to there. And let me just try to end 3 just to give you a little illustration here. I'll take a shot, and I'll go to 58, a distance of 70, and here you would need to catch it as EP1 end line and verify which one you're on if you kind of go backwards like that. So you've got 2 lines drawn. You can also kick in the curves with those icons on the right, and it's very simply organized. You've already seen running live with the total station how we might do individual corner symbols. Now let's illustrate a car. Let me put in a car, a full car to the south. Let's say there's an undamaged car south of me. You hit the car button, and I'll do undamaged. Now, we have a lot of options here, but if you know the make and model of the car, you do the known passenger vehicle. If it's a truck, if it's a motorcycle, or you don't know the make and model of the car, you do a generic car. Generic car would require 3 shots. The beauty of a known car, only 2 measurements in the field, an absolute minimum, survey the car. Here's how it works. You pick the year, and we do all the way to 2009 at present. This will be updated and stay current. And I will do a 2008 Buick Lucerne 4-door. Now, here it even comes up with the color. If this was a car that was instead red, you just change the color there, and here's a bright red car going in, and you hit OK. Now let's say I could pick up the driver's side rear tires, an easy position to pick up, and then I just hit enter to take the measurement. I'm going to go 180, a distance of 30 feet, and then any other point will work. And they're not even used for distance. The car's not going to scale. We know the dimension of a 2008 Buick Lucerne. So whatever you survey next is used only for direction. So you could pick a point along the car, and that would be a point for direction. An obvious point if you've got the back tire would be the front tire. And I'll take the shot, and I'll also go 180. Well, let's actually twist it. We'll go 200 in a distance of, what did I do last time? 30. I'll go 38. And hit OK. That should twist that car in that direction. That car is plotted 100% to scale. It's fully drafted out. As I zoom in, look at the detail. You've got the rear view mirrors, you've got the steering wheel shown, you've got the window coming up clearly, and that same detail ports into whatever office software is used, which can include our own CSI Office, which includes accident reconstruction tools, which is not the topic of today's presentation. But the whole goal is to save field time and office drafting time. So rather than laboring long and hard on drawing out a car, this car is fully drawn out through this method. Now, how about a damaged car? I'm also going to show you that you don't have to shade it. You can draw cars unshaded. Let me go to configuration. And the actual shading of the car is this lowest item in the configuration list. Use coloring for vehicles. I'm going to deactivate that. I should point out while I'm here that I recommend for police departments to have the first two turned on. If you dare to move up, get prompted for your total station setup as you re-enter the command, and also prompt for the hide and description. That led to that screen where I picked the start line, end line icons, which automatically triggered the appropriate field codes and special codes for the measurement. That makes life so much easier to hit your descriptions and special codes as icons in that second screen, that prompt screen. So that needs to be on. Okay, let's illustrate a damaged car. I'm going to try to put it fairly large here off to the right. Let's hit the car symbol. This time we're going to go damaged. Known passenger vehicle. We'll do a 2000 nice American car, Ford Explorer. And there it is, and it kind of looks like it. Now, we don't have the actual design of every make of car, but we have them in classes. We have convertibles, VW Bugs, minis, sedans, SUVs. So this picks up a classic SUV look, and it kind of does look like a Ford Explorer. Eventually, we might get even more detail than what we have, but we have about, I don't know, 8 different classes of vehicles right now that we assign the various makes and models to. So you continue on with the OK, and there's that same screen with a little bit different function as you got to see. We'll take our first shot, and we'll go 90, slope distance of 20. We're going to go off to the right. And then we'll take our next shot on the tire again, 90, and we'll go 28. Now we'll take shots that involve the damage. I'll show you how it works. We hit enter, and we'll do this next shot at 92 azimuth and a distance of 30. See, that little mark, that little damage point comes up. So this was a driver's side to the left impact. Let's hit enter for another shot. See, with an undamaged vehicle, the moment you take 2 shots, it draws the vehicle complete. With a damaged vehicle, it waits for you to terminate the process. So I take my second damage shot at 93 degrees, 31 feet, and another damage point comes out on the screen. And I'll take my third and last damage shot at 94 degrees, 31.5 feet, and the last point comes out. At this point, one of the methods to exit is just hit the car icon again and press S if you have completed. I have completed. And you're actually zoomed in on the actual plot the whole time. That was interesting. It sort of morphed from the schematic into the actual plot. This is effective in a demo if you make it plot in the easterly direction, then it kind of matches the original schematic screen, which is what I did on purpose. Now the way it draws it is your first shot of damage was 11. It goes perpendicular out to the body of the vehicle from there. Picks up your additional shots and goes perpendicular out again. If your entire front was damaged, just shoot all the way around the front, and then it'll come out on the other side based on your last shot. If there were a couple points of damage, then you might just want to survey the whole perimeter of the car, like the Cincinnati police did in that opening example. Okay. Now, you can see there's also some redrafting of the vehicle based on this damage, a little shifting based on some assumed changes in the body of the vehicle here. So that's the concept of a damaged vehicle. While I'm here, I want to point out a couple additional automatic aspects. Let's talk about these vehicles first. If I click on a vehicle away from its point, see, there's 7 and 8. If I click up here, you get into a screen where it tells you that it was a sedan, and if you click the icon in the upper part of the screen there, you actually see the vehicle information. This also is available to you in the accident report that I'll get to in a little bit. So that's everything about the vehicle from the standard vehicle information charts. Okay, another thing that's very active is the following. I've drawn 2 lines, EP1, EP2. If I go ahead and click on that line away from the endpoints, like I click on the line here, you have the ability to extend the line without having to resurvey point 6, and I can simply hit extend line, and now I'm active on that point. This is a new feature. It's time-saving. It's graphical. So and notice the cleverness of the program has detected that as EP1, and that becomes your default field code. So I can take another measurement and do an azimuth of 260, a slope distance of 80 feet, and get an additional point. And it's also EP1. And so it has continued on. And I can do another shot and do 265 and go 100 feet and choose to end the line there. And so that was a very easy way to continue on. You didn't have to get back in traffic or retake point 6. You simply clicked on the line and extended it. Now, let's say there was a intersecting line of some sort coming into point 6. It might even be a different code altogether. And you forgot to get that, but now you want to get it after the fact. Do the same thing as you did before. Pick on the line with your stylus. Don't extend it this time. Do a new line. It'll do a new line from the nearest point to where you picked. So it'll default to EP3 in case it's another edge of pavement. This was EP1. Right above you is EP2. It's actually defaulting to EP3. Nothing prevents you from actually putting an FL for fence line and going that way. But let's stick with EP3. We'll hit enter. And I'll take a shot more to the south. So I'm going to go 240 azimuth and go 70 feet. See where that takes me. And there's EP3. And that'll be EP3 start line. And hit OK. And there, you see that line's started off, and I can take another shot. This time I'll go just 200 and 150 feet, and I'll end that line. So in no time at all, you've added to the drawing, but you've minimized the number of field shots through this clever pick the line and work from it. And if you pick too close to a point, you go into point details. So you don't get the line option, the line details option. But here, you have a new option to remeasure the point. So this is another very simplistic way to retake a shot. If I remeasure point 5, keep the same code, Let's take it out to 290 and a lot farther to 110 feet and hit OK. And see how it redraws out to that new point. Again, minimizing you getting back into traffic, and it's simple to use when you're under pressure doing these, sometimes fatal accident reconstructions, where the detail is important and time's of the essence. Let me also point something else out. Let's click on point 6 and see what's changed there. Look at the code. The program kept the EP1 because 6 is online on the EP1 line. It's one of several points representing line EP1, but then it had a space and appended EP3, and then used the ST code to start that line. So all that occurred automatically. What was 6 EP1 space N line is now just EP1. It's a point online on that stretch. So that is another new aspect of it. Now let's talk about the move up. I've been told by some police departments, they just do one setup, they get in and out, and only in about 5% of cases, 1 out of 20 surveys, do they actually move up. But the M represents move up. It's a pretty obvious command, and it's done very simply. If I hit M for move, it talks you through the process. Measure to next setup. All right. And I will do an azimuth of 90, and I'll go out 100 feet to my next setup. Then it actually tells you what to do. Move to the new point physically, set up your total station, click continue when you're ready. So we're going to do that. It has your defaulted new positions, and it says measure to previous setup. Kind of grips you in the process. So the backside to the previous setup is at a 270. I went 100 feet, I believe. It's completed successfully. Had I entered 110 feet, I'd have a 10-foot error detected, or a difference, a delta difference of the foresight and backside. You get a little warning, but you could still continue. And there I am on my new setup, and my backside showing, and I'm ready to take more shots. Another simplified improvement is the O for offset. Now you kind of see the meaning of all these options. M for move up, O for offset, we've been to C for configure. S is a store the shot, no different than hitting enter on the keyboard. Let's try O and watch the difference here. Let's say there's a tree, a pine tree to our north, or a deciduous tree, whatever. We just chose the tree symbol to illustrate the offset. Your first thing to do is read the distance opposite what you're offsetting, and that's why we show the prism pole to one side of the tree. So we'll take the shot. I'm going to tell it it's a pine. Read the distance. And we're going to go azimuth of 0, a distance of 40. Now it's moved over and it says read the angle to the center of whatever you're offsetting. And we'll do that. And I'll say it's an azimuth of 2 degrees and hit OK. And then store it, where you can change your code at this point. And I'll hit OK. And then if you're done, no more offsets, you back arrow, and there is, slightly off of due north, our tree, because my angle was azimuth of 2 degrees. But the coaching of that is, again, simplified for the law enforcement field of use versus the everyday surveyor in a consulting firm or survey company. All right. There's also an accident report that we can speak about here. If you go back to the main menu, we've been in the active data gathering screen this entire time. If you go back to the main menu, Another change we did was under job settings. Rather than talking about stakeout in the 5th tab like we do in CertCE, this has been devoted to the report. And we have the ability to format the report and pick one to actually see. So this is the report from the work we just did. And based on what format we specified, we've only got a few shots, and the raw data, which we've called for in our action report, is displayed in a TXT file, which of course can come right into Word, and because it's sort of column-based, it could go into Excel for that matter, and you can define what appears in this report. We're still enhancing this report, but the goal is to make it completely user-definable. Do you want to see the raw data? Do you want to see the point coordinates? Do you want to see both? Do you want to see the car details? Do you want to see the weather, party chief, what instrument you're using? Because we know all these things. We know you're using a manual total station. We know you were using a Sokia SRX. All of that can appear in the report, and because there's a major legal overtones for this work, you want to have an accurate accident report to build from for the police work involved. A couple other points to make. If you go into the map screen, you see whatever drawing you've created here in the map screen. And you have the ability, when you DXF out, if I export a DXF of this, that DXF or drawing can go to any CAD package. We have several police units using AutoSketch, which is a simplified product from Autodesk, I believe. And you can then export it. But when you do the export, you have the ability to tell the program, do you want to export the points as Carlson blocks or as just little AutoCAD dots? So if you choose Carlson blocks, you'll actually get those tree symbols. And whatever symbology you used, you'll always, if you turn on Linework, get the standard Linework, including the thickened line over in your CAD drawing. You also have these options down below, which you can turn off and on in the export. Okay. Also, you have a fair amount of CAD you can do here. For example, if you had a sidewalk exactly 8 feet behind edge of pavement, you could go to Draw, Offset, and do a 2D offset, distance of 8 feet, select this polyline, and pick the side to offset. And if it was 4 feet wide, just repeat the command, select this polyline, and pick the side to offset. So you have the actual officers can actually do some field CAD work, if that's appropriate, to further enhance the drawing. All right, well that's basically, we ran through fairly quickly, but that's the essence of CSI Mobile. It's excellent for sheriff's departments, city police departments who have an accident reconstruction division or a crime scene investigation division. It works with virtually all total stations manufactured today, handles them wirelessly through Bluetooth if they have Bluetooth capability, and runs robotically for those police departments looking for the one-man field crew. You can run something like the SRX from Sokia, as we're running today, or a Leica robotic, even a geodometer, Trimble 5600 robotic, Topcon robots. All of those work with CSI Mobile. And with that, I'll close the meeting. Nuno, is there any questions I need to address?
There was a couple of questions about formulas in CSI Mobile. So we're going to have any kind of expanded formula like we see in the CSI Office software.
We were going to reserve the high-end calculations to CSI Office. Now, what's referred to there, let's go back and load the select existing job, load this 62 East Mitchell. All right. And, oh, I should point out, this is something new. Yeah, you're walked through the startup every day, but you can shortcut to your main menu with this shortcut button up top. So I'm going to shortcut in. And that's the RC unit getting low on battery. Very real time here. And here's our vehicles. By the way, why is this vehicle not showing shading now? That's because, if you recall, under Configure, we've turned off Use the Coloring. Turn that back on. I believe that vehicle will now shade up if it was surveyed shaded. Now, one of the things referred to in terms of calculation is the length of skid lines. There's an entire science here that we cover in our accident tools in CSI Office that, given the vehicle weight and its physics, the length of the skid marks is an indication of the loss of velocity. So, in combination with the amount of crush, which is not well defined if it's a side impact, but is very well defined if it's a frontal impact. If you measure the crush of the frontal impact, you might determine that the vehicle slowed down on impact by 22 miles per hour. So it was going 22 miles per hour at impact with the pole or tree. There's a whole science for this based on 1 point or 2, 3, 4, 6 point impacts. Then you would determine that the skid marks were responsible for another 45 mile per hour velocity loss. So if you had 45 and 22, you could determine that at the point where the skid marks began, the vehicle was going 67 miles per hour. If this was a 55 mile per hour zone, there could be some culpability in terms of that driver. And that's part of what's involved in the Office calculation side. We do not plan to have that in CSI Mobile. However, we do plan to detect a variety of descriptions for skid lines. For example, I think we have in our field to finish the skid. Let's see if we do in here skid. It starts with SK or something. There it is. We have SM, skid mark. You'll be able to define as a special code what code represents a skid mark, all right? And then we will compute the longest distance of the skid marks, and that'll show up in your report, which can then naturally feed into your Office accident reconstruction calculations. So we will have that level of automation. Any other questions there we should look at?
Also, about different symbols. We have the ability of load a train symbol or...
Good question. Let's go and take a look at our symbols. Feature code list. Let's go and say we wanted to add one. And let's say I wanted to add a fire hydrant. And I go set symbol. You have, various, generic cars, motorcycles. You can have the motorcycles on their side. That might be more common in an accident. I should have pointed out that our cars can be the same way. For a generic car, you can have it on its side. Normally it's a top-down look. It could flip over, and it could be a bottom-up look with the tires up top. We have all of this built into CSI Mobile. Switching entire families of symbols, we can bring in a variety of trees, page after page of trees. That could be a palm tree right there. We can go to 2 different libraries of points. Here's page after page of points, and we even have street signs. If you set the symbol to the category of sign, we can add to these later, but here's two-way traffic, accident ahead, that's for sure. We even have inlets inherited from our hydrology module, but here applied effectively to accident reconstruction. So, and this raises an interesting point. We want to make this a very public product where we will have a website for departments to download libraries and symbols from and upload to. So it can be sort of a communal website so people can collectively share symbols if they choose to do so among different police departments around the country. That should be very effective, rather than us trying to invent ourselves every symbol imaginable. So yes, we have a wide variety of symbols to choose from. Any other questions there?
There's a couple of questions about ASCII imports and exports. What kind of, this would be under the points.
You can export your coordinates as an ASCII file. That's your point numbers. That would appear in your point list. Here's your point list. You can export these, of course. You can. There's the other files that we've talked about don't even require an export. They just exist as files that can be copied off of your data collector. Oh, a very important command, by the way, is the actual copying process. If you go to data transfer, you're going to love this. If you buy it with the Carlson Surveyor, we have, and you have to specifically be on the Surveyor to see it, not on a PC, but we have a nice big button for a thumb drive transfer. So basically, you take your little USB thumb drive, stick it into your Surveyor, click thumb drive transfer, and copy it right across as a standard Windows copy. And all you do is pick the job itself, 62 Mitchell or the one we made up today, and all the other files come with it in this data transfer process. The police departments who have discovered this transfer have really liked it. It's actually an improvement over what was in ServCE, and it's actually coming with ServCE 2.5. Well, this takes us just before noon, gives you a little time to have your lunch break, as well as take in the seminar, the webinar. We appreciate your participation in this, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.